so much.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Let's have the roll call.
Nancy Kupka.
Present.
Julia Beckman.
Here.
Deb Boyle.
Here.
Mike Davenport.
Here.
Terry Pavicic.
Here.
And Rick Pavanato.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Let's stand for this Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first order of business is approval of minutes for the April 17th business meeting and the April 17th closed meeting. Do we have a motion?
I will move we approve those minutes.
And I will second it.
Julia Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Terry Pavicic.
Aye.
Rick Pavanato.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye. The minutes are approved. We're now going to move on to student perspectives from South High.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jennifer Martinez, and I'm the Director of Student Activities. And I am proud to present for our student perspectives this month, our stage crew from Downers Grove South. If any of you had an opportunity, we just had Cinderella this weekend. It was truly a magical and successful performance. So I am going to introduce Hunter Evans. He is our auditorium manager, and he's been with us at DGS for 10 years. And he does an amazing job leading our students to produce the sets and the sounds and the lights that make our musical productions and other theatrical productions so successful.
Thanks. Good evening. How are you?
Hi.
Hi. We have about 7 full-length shows every year, and the students do everything. So the only thing that I do is go and get stuff, the errand boy, and keep everybody on task, obviously. And then I design the sets. They do everything else. So from picking color and painting and costumes and all of that stuff, it's completely student done. At our height, we have about 30 students, all in different departments. So I've brought a few of them tonight just so that you guys could listen to what they do and they can explain to what you guys do. All right. Anna, just go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Anna Kennedy. I'm a senior at DGS South. I've been in stage crew for 3 years of my time at South, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I personally am chief of properties and props for theatrical productions because in our stage crew, everything's done by sections and it's all student-led. So I am head of chief of props. So I do things like craft all of the handheld things that are used in shows, things that are written, like for Cinderella this past week, we had a beautiful carriage that we all built together, and we spent like a few weeks on the carriages and things like the carts and just things that were, and the horses that were used in our production. And so we just do a lot of things like I will sit down with Mr. Evans and we will go over plans and how we want things done, and then from there we will take it amongst ourselves in our smaller section of our crew and build it and make it happen.
Hi, I'm Michelle Kravick, and okay.
She's obviously that used to be on stage.
I'm a sophomore at Downers Grove South, and I am in charge of scenic designing the sets. So that's basically like painting the sets and like putting texture on like different walls or things that just need to be painted.
Painting wood to look like wood a lot.
Yeah, painting wood to look like wood. And yeah.
Wow, that set is beautiful.
All right. Hi, I am Jeremy Fruin. I am a senior at Downers Grove South High School, and I have been doing stage crew for all 4 years. And while it was not my original choice to do it, it is probably the best decision ever made for me. Because, all right, well, as of now, I am the current lighting chief of stage crew, which means I do everything from lighting an entire stage for an entire show to turning on the lights during an assembly. And growing, like being in this program and growing because of it allowed me to sort of come out of my shell and I guess brighten up my entire everything. Yeah, I made a bad pun, whatever. But walking in, I had crippling anxiety. I couldn't get anything done. I could barely speak a sentence in front of more than 2 people. And now I am more than capable of telling an entire cast what they need to do for our current strike. Yeah.
Hello, I am Grace Zeman. I'm a senior at DGS, and I am the chief of sound. And I also do a lot of stage management within stage crew when it's needed. I've been in stage crew since my sophomore year. I actually did join freshman year for about a month, and then had to go for marching band and told Mr. Evans I'd come back, and here I am. I've been doing sound this entire year. I set up the microphones for all the concerts that are needed. I also sometimes help with the assemblies when they need microphones, and I also help with any type of microphones I use for any other productions, whether it's Haney mics or wireless mics. And the last thing I did, I helped stage manage the musical, which means I basically stayed at school for about 15 hours a day for 2 weeks, watched all the rehearsals, wrote down all the cues, called the show, and I also kind of worked the sound, so if a microphone wasn't working, it's my fault. I gotta fix it. So that's been yeah.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Copeland, and I'm a senior. I have been a part of hair and makeup crew for 4 years, I think now. And I kind of just fell into it because for the plays that I wasn't acting in, I would help out with hair and makeup, and then eventually I became more involved in that, so I started doing that for all of the plays. And for hair and makeup, usually we have to meet with the director of each play a bit before a couple weeks before the show. We work with them on creating like a slideshow about what each of the characters should look like and what kind of character we want to create, because a lot of their persona is going to be like conveyed through their hair and makeup. And then we usually get together a crew of about 8 to sometimes like 15 people to work on hair and makeup. And it's a lot of the same people, but they change a lot depending on who's in the show and like who's actually acting or who's just volunteering this time around. And a week or 2 before the show, we start practicing on one another and learning how to do different concepts for the show. So whether that means teaching our crew how to do like victory rolls on 15 girls in like an hour or whatever, depending on what the show is. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Stewart, and I am a senior at Downers Grove South, and I have been a part of hair and makeup for about 3 years. Similar to Vanessa, I fell into it just because when I wasn't acting in a show, I decided to help out with hair and makeup and just kind of to still be part of the show, but not actually be in the show. And so what I do is I help with the hair and the makeup, but I do the costumes of the show. So whenever you see like the characters come out, and if like the show's in like the 40s and they look like they're from the 40s, it's because I costume them correctly. And so there's this big room we have at Downers Grove South that I kind of spend all my time in, because we'll set up what the characters should look like, and we don't always have the exact costumes from the pictures that we have of them, but I go in there and I try to match their costumes to kind of fit their persona and the time period and the look of the show, and it pulls everything together and it brings you into the atmosphere of the show. Because if you're going to a show that's set in the 40s, if they look like they're from modern times, it kind of pulls you out of it. So that's an important aspect of it. So I spend a lot of time making sure that everything's all together, and sometimes costumes won't fit, so I'll have to hem them or fit them, so I'll sew sometimes, and just a lot of things of making sure everything fits and everything looks right in the show.
Very good.
Did you guys have any questions?
Any questions? Go ahead.
May not a question, but having seen the show, as many of you did over the weekend, it's really an incredible credit to the staff and to the kids. And to Hunter, I've got to say, because he does do all that designing. I thought maybe he did all the building too, but he's giving his students credit tonight, which is good.
The majority of it.
But it's show after show, and some of you I know I've seen in the shows, the most recent shows too, so these kids not only work backstage, but they do amazing thing on stage. And even when they have a little sound difficulty, which they had the day of the night I saw it, they trooped right on through. The band played in the dark, and the kids sang in the dark, and it was great.
Those of you that don't know, we had a full power outage at South on Saturday night.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh.
Yeah.
We kept going the whole
They
time.
did, they kept right on going, and the power came
Power
back.
came right back on.
Right, so kudos to all of you. It was wonderful.
I had a quick question. Do any of you plan to pursue more work in drama or theatrics or engineer or something related to what you're doing now?
Well, I actually plan on going into technical theater because through this club I found that it's a real passion of mine. I spent most of high school trying to find a place and a idea of a career that I actually enjoyed, as well as thought that I could make a reality. And through this club, I've figured out that, especially from seeing Mr. Evans as a role model, that there's actual career options in the world of theater. So I plan on going to COD and Columbia in Chicago just to pursue my dream of going into technical theater and being backstage for the rest of my life.
Though I don't plan specifically right now on a theater focus, I want to actually go into architecture because building a lot of these sets and designing them, I find exciting just to sit there and to sketch out and to imagine, like, what is this house going to look like? What is this porch going to look like? How can we enable everything on this thing to make it flip around so that one side's a house and the other side looks like a different building? And I hope also to go to COD and U of I for architecture, and who knows, maybe I will get a theater focus because I don't think I'll be able to live my life without doing this type of thing.
All right, well, thanks for having us tonight.
Thank you. The next item is on our agenda is reception of visitors, but before we do that, as you know, we're saying goodbye to two of our board members who decided not to run this cycle for election. And so I would just like to talk a little bit about each of them before we open it up for comments. Debbie Boyle. We'd like to thank Debbie for her 8 years of dedicated service here to the board and to the community. Among her many accomplishments, I'm tearing up, I'm sorry. Among her many accomplishments were spearheading open and transparent communications within the board and the district, which included broadcasting our meetings, increased disclosure of financial documents on our website, and the acceptance of a paperless board system, document system that helps our entire community remain better informed about the activities of the board. She also set the standard for maintaining a professional demeanor, even with the conflicting views. So I'd just like to take a moment and thank Debbie and recognize her. Did anybody else want to say something before we? Hearing none, I'll move on.
Go ahead, Mike.
Since 1993, Julia's been and I'm going to use the word bad patootie advocate because I can't use the other word, for public education. Through her leadership, District 99 has become one of the top districts in the nation. But Julia has not only been a leader within our district, for she has represented District 99 well among the arts and the special education communities as well. I thought that with almost 24 years as a board member, you would be one of the longest continuous board members to serve. However, there is a board member in Massachusetts who served 43, so that sounds like a challenge to me. You've got some work to have for you.
I never intended to do that, to have that.
We want to thank you for everything, Julia. Thank you.
I'll meet you halfway.
Thank you so much. It's lovely. Thank you. I wish you do.
My initials and everything.
Does any other member of the board wish to say anything before we open it up to the public? Hank?
On behalf of the administration, I'd like to thank both Deb and Julia for the work that they've done for the students within District 99 and the staff and the administration. You've been wonderful role models for us to follow in serving the vision and goals of this community. Many of you may not know that IASA, the Illinois Association of School Administrators, recognized both of them earlier this month. INSPRA, the professional, what does that stand? Illinois School
Public Relations.
Public relations.
It's a public relations branch in Illinois. That professional organization for schools recognized Julia for her 24 years of service on the board this month. So the accolades have all been rolling in. We'll have some, I think there's some folks here in a little bit that want to stand up and speak. I've heard Dr. McDonald sends his regards and best wishes. He has a board meeting tonight, so is unable to be here. He was the superintendent prior to me. And thanks you for all of your service and leadership for while he was superintendent on the board. And of course, for me, being a new superintendent, being part of the team that brought me in here, and for a year of excellent leadership and support, I thank you.
Thank you.
And then it is board policy that if somebody serves the district for 25 years, that we recognize them. However, you know, Julia was board president for a few years, and those are like dog years, so we're counting.
Dog years.
So we, as the administrative team, felt that it was appropriate that we recognize Julia as if she had served the district for 25 years. So we pitched in, and outside the superintendent's window now sits a tree.
Nice.
So that Julia can keep an eye on me and any superintendent. So if you go out the main door here, you'll see an American rosebud tree that was
so
recently
sweet.
planted.
Thank you.
And then
Thank you.
we bought it a little necklace that will hang around it. That reads, District 99 Board of Education member Julia Beckman, service dates 1993 to 2017, in honor of 24 years of service to the students of District 99.
Thank you, that's lovely. Thank you.
So thank you both for your service.
So I'd just like to end this portion of the goodbye with one of my favorite quotes, because I have to throw in my quote, by Margaret Mead, which I think is appropriate for both of these esteemed board members, as well as our new board members who are joining us today. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, concerned citizens can change the world. Indeed, is the only thing that ever has.
Right.
So at that, we'll open up for public comment. Would anybody like to address the board? Please state your name.
Good evening. David Olson, State Representative for the 81st District and a resident of District 99 and a graduate of Downers Grove South High School. And I would note that I really do appreciate Julia's service to the board and her leadership, because she was on the board when I came through Downers Grove South High School. And so she is a part of my any success I've achieved, I can credit to Downers South and, of course, the great leaders that we had, many board members, but Julia being one of them. So I just want to say thank you so much. I have certificates from the Illinois House of Representatives on State of Illinois 100th General Assembly House of Representatives. We acknowledge both Julia Beckman and Deb Boyle in recognition of your years of service to Community High School District 99, and join in commemoration of the effort, dedication, hard work led to the success, and further expresses our best wishes for personal happiness and professional achievement in all your future endeavors. So on behalf of the entire Illinois General Assembly, the residents of the 81st District, I just want to say thank you to both Julia and Deb for all the years that you've put in, many efforts. It does not go unnoticed, and we are all better for your service. So thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to address the board?
Keep dreaming.
Julia, I would like to welcome you on behalf of the Has-Beens Club to be our newest member. When you go through your withdrawal symptoms, call us. We'll talk you through it. It'll be okay. But most of us will tell you that the first meeting that takes place when you're not here, you'll kind of wonder what's going on. By the second meeting, you'll forget what day of the week it is, and they'll meet without you. And by the third meeting, they'll have forgotten about you, and you've forgotten about them. So all of us have watched you from afar, and you did okay, kid. So welcome to our group, and remember, we may be has-beens, but at one time we were somebodies. Okay.
Nancy, I do have to add, there are two former board presidents here, one who's at the mic right now, who served a tad longer than I have, so they each should get a tree. I'm just saying.
The now retired superintendent is also here.
That's true.
And I was curious as to why I didn't get this kind of recognition when
New precedent.
Julia, one of the things that I thought about before I came, and you always wonder in your preparation, is it going to be appropriate for the occasion? I consider the retirement to be a joyous occasion because it gives you an opportunity to go on to other things. One of the problems Julia and I had through the years is that the coincidence of the same last name. And this may seem odd, but we continually were accused of being married to one another. And often I would say, well, I am married, but her name is Maura, not Julia. And the problem that we had continued on was the fact that I have a daughter named Julie. Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. And many, many years ago, there was a roller skating rink in Westmont over at Ogden, near Ogden and Cass. And she would go there every Friday. She was 12, 13 years old, and that kind of stuff. Boys would call her because Julie's phone number is listed and say, Julia, would you like to go roller skating this Friday?
I almost did. It sounded like...
So she was cutting into my daughter's territory there.
I asked if they were rich first.
Yeah. None of them had any money at the time, although one did grow up to be an attorney. So. But Julia, I'm so pleased that looking at the years of dedicated service you have provided to the community and the recognition you're obviously getting from your colleagues here. It's taken a lot of hard work. I had the honor of serving also on the village council for a number of years. And when I looked at the two different experiences, I honestly believe this is the one form of experience that was far more fulfilling. It provided an outcome for young people, give them an opportunity to grow and nurture in an educational environment, setting policy, looking toward developing opportunities for recruiting top-notch teachers, all of those kinds of things that after the 24 years was up, I often look back upon that experience. And I thank you very much for the service that you've given. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Alan Barnett from Woodridge. Julia, it was a distinct honor to serve with someone with your integrity and focus. This district has done well under your leadership, and we all really appreciate what you've done for us. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alan. Thank you. Didn't know you had such a fan club, huh? I didn't. It's exciting. Here comes trouble. You're in trouble now.
Okay, you're welcome. I just wanted to thank Julia very much because she's the one who asked me to run, and she recruited me, and I have to say it was one of the best experiences I had. I really enjoyed it. It was wonderful working with Dave and my brother Paul. And I just wanted to thank everybody, and it's so nice to see all the administrators, and thank you very much. And thank you, Julia. I know this community really has benefited from your service.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Megan.
Hi, my name is Sherelle Fuller, and I felt like I needed to get up here and say something. Some of you know I purchased my house from Julia 13 years ago. So I'll start by saying we actually have a running joke now. I think all of you are safe in here because some kind of way you've already been associated with the board. But anyone who purchases 135 White Fawn Trail going forward must serve on the board. The bad news is for them. We're not, I think I'm being recorded, but if they're not watching it, they'll never know. We're going to kind of keep it a secret until they purchase the home. But I want to thank Julia for everything. As I wanted to learn more about the board and wanted to get engaged, I would call and she'd come around, and she was always able to answer my questions and very open to some of the questions I would ask her. I also want to share, she had the opportunity to meet my friends and family throughout my journey of campaigning and learning more and getting them engaged.
Bunch.
And they have referred to her as one cool lady. So, so thank you for all the work you've done, and thank you for getting me more involved. It is very important. I now know that to do that.
Thank you. Thanks, Sherelle. Oh my goodness.
Dave, how many people by show of hands has Julia influenced to become politically active on the board or elsewhere? Oh, come on, I know it's not just me. Thank you. All right.
Get your hand up.
Good evening. Dave Eblin, resident. Julia, the have-been world, it's okay. It really is. You'll love it. I also, and Hank, you understand this, you never, ever want to upstage your board or your board president. I happen to be standing here with every board president that ever supervised me. And Barb Wheeler, Bruce Beckman, and Julie. So needless to say, I'll be very short. I just want to add, Julia, my thanks for your service. It's been stellar, whether it was collaborating with the association and developing a great contracts that were fair to teachers and respectful to the taxpayers, whether it was reaching out to the community with bagels with the board that we did, whether it was going for referendums. You were always there. You were always providing wonderful leadership. You were always at events. I thought I made a lot of events, but I'd turn around and Julia was always right there, whether it was a play, a musical, an athletic event. But I think the key is that you have consistently shown class and composure and integrity, and that has meant a lot to this district and has helped burnish its reputation. And you played on the work of Barbara and Bruce and the other board members, and our community is the better for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none, we need a motion to adjourn.
I believe that's it. I will move that we adjourn sine die. Did I pronounce it correctly, Barb? Okay. Sine die.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We're adjourned. So we will start with the oath of office. So we need our 4 new members to rise. Do you want, if your families want to come up with you while you take the oath of office, that's certainly fine.
think they're bound if they come up.
He might not want to do that.
Okay, everybody's got a copy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I
Terry Pavasich, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of a member of the Board of Education for District
High School
99.
District 99.
Sorry.
In accordance with the
Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois, to the best of my ability. I further swear that
I shall respect taxpayers' interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets.
I shall encourage and respect free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek to hear before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual, and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at the public business meeting. And I shall abide by the majority decision of the board, while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the board.
That's a mouthful.
So we will begin, we are called to order. We will begin with the roll call.
Mike Davenport.
Here.
Cheryl Fuller. Here. Nancy Kupka.
Here.
Daniel Nicholas.
Here.
Terry Pavasich.
Here.
Rick Pavanato.
Here.
And Don Renner.
Here.
Thank you. We are here. So we will now move to the election of permanent officers. The first seat is that of the president.
I nominate Nancy Kupka.
Why, thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
I'd second that.
Thank you, Rick.
You bet.
Any others? We can do all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you all. The next. Welcome back. It was a long time away.
Yes. It was a long, slow process.
The next position open is that of vice president.
Madam President, I would like to nominate Terry Pavasich for vice president.
Thank you, Mike.
I second.
12 seconds. Any others? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Welcome back.
We save money on nameplates.
High school conservatives, right?
That's it.
Don't think I didn't notice that.
And finally,
that was
we
gonna
have
break
the
the
final
district.
position of the district, which is that of secretary. Do we have a nomination from the floor?
Well, I
I'll
can
nominate Julie.
Yeah,
Julie Nidek?
yeah,
Yep.
second that.
Second. All those in favor?
Third.
Yeah.
Aye. All those opposed?
So I don't even give anyone a
Yeah, don't
chance.
give anybody else a chance.
Your new secretary. Congratulations.
Or she runs out. That's
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah, thank
you,
you, Julie. You do a fabulous job for us. Thank you.
My
Thank you.
pleasure.
Okay, moving on. We have the adoption of District 99 policies and regulations.
Do we need to,
I need to
a
open
motion
my-
for that, or what do we
Exactly.
need?
We need a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the District 99 policies and regulations.
I'll second that.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Rick Pavanato.
Aye.
Cheryl Fuller.
Aye.
Daniel Nicholas.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Don Renner.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Now we're moving on to the establishment of meeting dates. Dr. Feely?
All right, so the kind of first order of business is deciding when we will have our board meetings for next year. We've put a proposal out there for two different options that the administration would like the board to weigh in on and then decide which calendar they would like. Option one is continuing on the first and third Mondays as we did this year, and I think for several years in the past. The other option on the table, and the one that the administration is kind of behind right now, is Thursday meetings on the first and third Thursday. We would still post agendas the week before the weekend and get materials out in advance if it was on a Thursday, which would allow board members the entire weekend to review stuff and ask questions, and would give the administration a little more time to respond to questions that might come up over a weekend, if we weren't coming right back to a board meeting on Monday. So that's kind of what we're thinking of with that. The administration is happy to serve at the wishes of the board and will gladly work under either format.
Okay, well, let's start with, does anybody have any opposition to meeting on Thursdays?
I do. When I ran for election, I weighed family commitments, and I planned on Monday being the meeting date, as it has been for the last 4 years while I have been on the board. And from a personal standpoint, Monday is like one of those days where it's kind of the lull before the storm of the rest of the week starts kicking into gear. And so Thursday, there's so much going on at the schools, there's so much going on later in the week with family stuff. Monday was the day I had planned when I originally sought re-election. I think if Thursday was the date, I think I would have had to readjust my calendar, because I know I have sacrificed opportunities for that family time. And so I've stepped away from coaching a varsity sport because of the family time first. And this is not a paid position, it's a volunteer position. And so my thought process was Mondays was the date, and that's my input on that calendar.
Okay, thanks.
So-
Anybody else?
I just have a personal conflict. My spouse works in the evenings on Thursday nights, so to come to the meeting, I would always have to have babysitter just to be able to make the meeting, and that would be very difficult for me. So I would prefer sticking with Mondays.
Is there anybody who,
Can I?
go ahead.
Yeah, if the meeting changed to Thursdays, I would definitely end up missing meetings occasionally. Same issues that Rick brought up, and as I run my own business, the week just builds, and the weekend is the time I have to get caught up a little bit, and that's when I'm able to dig into, the agenda items that we're going to be discussing on a Monday, and I don't have too many drawing deadlines and too many other deadlines related to my work on Mondays, and so I'd like to see it stay as Monday.
Okay. Is there anybody who has a problem with Mondays? So it sounds like we will keep it for Monday for now, and maybe we can look at if there's maybe other days that are, I know the whole idea behind this was to give the board more time to digest and reach out to people prior to the meeting, but we'll leave it for Mondays for now, and we'll see if there's another day that works as well.
Well, can I just ask, you said that this was better for you administratively, so it wasn't necessarily just about making things better for us, but...
Just to have that full week to prepare for a board meeting leading into Thursday. But if it's not going to work for board members, then it doesn't make any sense. So Mondays are absolutely fine.
Okay.
Just thought we'd float an alternative idea.
That's very nice, though, to have a discussion about.
Yeah,
I agree.
That way we just don't assume that
I agree.
continues to be correct.
Yeah, it's good to think about what we're doing and take a look at it again every now and then.
Sometimes change isn't so bad.
Yep.
Well, if I can make the suggestion that each board member take a look at their calendar and let Julie know within the next week if there is a better day of the week for you, or a day that is equally as good as a Monday, and we'll see if there's another alternative, and if there's not, we'll just keep it on Mondays as we've always had it for the last few years. Okay?
But should you take action on both of those items?
Oh, thank you.
We have to vote on
We
it.
do have to vote on it.
Oh, yeah, I keep thinking
We
this
could
is a
always amend
workshop.
it, but...
Okay, so we need first a motion to approve the meeting dates for Monday nights.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the Monday meeting calendar of Board of Education meetings for 2017-2018.
Second.
Thank you. Rick Pavanato.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Daniel Nicholas.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Don Renner.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. So since we have a unanimous motion, do we have to do the Thursday?
No, because if nobody
Okay.
moves to vote on it, then
All right.
we don't
Yep.
have to.
Next, thank God. Another 2 years of butchering Robert's Rules of Order.
Yes.
The next item up is the appointment of board committees and liaisons, and I've always made it my practice for every board member to let me know what committees they're interested in. So if you could all let me know within the next week, and we will try to make everybody's wishes come true. And if we can't, we won't, but that will certainly be what we'll try to do. So there is a list of the committees on board docs, and I think it's probably been given to you as well in the
It was in the pack.
the packet you were given. And if you have any additional questions about the committee and what the commitments means, you can reach out to Hank or you can reach out to me. Okay? Board workshop, Project Lead the Way presentation.
All right, so I'm going to turn this over to Gina, and she can take it from there.
Thank you, Dr. Thiele. Back in December of 2012, we brought our first two Project Lead the Way courses to the board for approval. And we've added a third course since then, and now a fourth course for next year, and thought it might be a nice time to kind of look at how Project Lead the Way is going, especially now that we've adopted the fourth course, so we have the full engineering strand. So to do that, I have our three Project Lead the Way teachers with us. We have Mark Molinari, who is the Project Lead the Way teacher at South, Tony Cazadlo, who is the Project Lead the Way teacher at North, and then Brandy Palmarin, who goes between both buildings and actually teaches Project Lead the Way at North and at South. In addition, we have two students that will join in the presentation this evening. Ethan Witt, who is from South, and Veronica Lee from North. So at this point, I will turn it over to them.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Tony Cazadlo. On behalf of the Engineering Design Department, I'd like to thank you for inviting us tonight, and thank you for all the support you've given us over the last 5 or 6 years in developing what we think is the best engineering curriculum we can provide for our students in District 99. Just a brief overview of the classes and when we implemented them. Introduction to Engineering Design was in 13-14. The following year, we implemented Principles of Engineering. 2 years later, Civil Engineering and Architecture. And next year, we're really excited about Engineering Development and Design, which is a senior capstone course for Project Lead the Way. There are many benefits for our students. One benefit would be students can get college credit through University of Iowa, which can be transferred to other universities as either a substitution for a class such as Introduction to Engineering Design or as a technical elective. And I believe students are able to get up to 9 credit hours through University of Iowa. There are scholarship opportunities. For instance, Milwaukee School of Engineering offers a $3,000 renewable scholarship up to 4 years for students who have taken Project Lead the Way courses in high school. Students have access to the curriculum 24/7. All of the resources that are delivered in the classroom, all the lessons, all of the Project Lead the Way curriculum is online. They access it during school on their Chromebooks, and they can access that at home as well. In regards to college readiness, specifically Introduction to Engineering Design, which is a introductory course, we would consider that a foundation course along with Principles of Engineering. That curriculum is developed from freshman and sophomore year college engineering curriculum. I want to speak briefly about Introduction to Engineering. This class we gear towards our freshmen, but we do have sophomores, juniors, and seniors taking the course. It's an Introduction to Engineering Design. We teach kids, they develop their knowledge and skills in using the engineering design process to develop products. Along with the within that engineering design process, students learn to communicate when brainstorming, coming up with concepts. They're using technical sketching skills, CAD skills. They develop prototypes using the 3D printers that we have at both schools. There's statistical analysis and documentation of all the work in engineering notebooks. One of the more popular activities that students engage in are instant challenges. Typically happen monthly, where students come in and they're given a particular challenge. Sometimes it's high tech, sometimes it's really low tech, like a mousetrap car or zip lines. And students are to brainstorm in small groups where their biggest constraint is time. And they have to develop concepts, test, and document their designs. And that's Introduction to Engineering Design. Next, I'm going to hand it over to Brandy Palmerin, and she's going to talk about Principles of Engineering. Sorry.
No problem. Hi, happy evening. Real quick, I just wanted to touch one thing on IED. Right at the bottom, that is my student, Sean, and he's actually communicating with Mr. Cesadelo's student at North. We did a virtual project, and so it is really cool. It was a way for them to be able to technical communication. They both came up with speaker design, and so one student, would come up with the nuts and bolts or screws, and the other student had to match it, so they had to be able to communicate back and forth. So I was proud of this project, so I just wanted to highlight that. Principles of Engineering. This really is a sample of your sophomore level of college. There's a lot of fun projects that we do. This first project was kind of to highlight some of the stuff we do in thermodynamics, which is heat transfer, but it's how can we do it using recyclable materials. And it's really just kind of a good way to introduce the subject. We do all the math, but then there's always a practical application afterwards to make it more real world, I feel like. Here is our statics unit. So we did a lot of the math. We figured out if, a truss was statically determinate, and then we used some 3D software to model it, and then we tested it. So before it actually crushed, students could tell us, which beam was in compression, which one's in tension, and where it would fail. We have some circuit projects. So this is great for sophomore and juniors, because they haven't had introductory to circuits yet, but for some of the seniors, they wanted to do more with this because they'd already done it. So we had a group of students that came up with this speaker. We found some of the parts in the classroom, and then we did a lot of research and found the other parts. We soldered. They designed this box, and we 3D printed it, so it's a little speaker box, which I thought was really cool. We have... So the third week of school, we talk about simple machines and we go right into compound machines. So this is what students are doing right off the bat. So this is a little compound machine, which is like gears, pulleys, movement. And see, it moves, This unit I really enjoyed because all of these cars are essentially using the same power supply and they all have the same motor. But the students that were able to understand how gears work and were able to apply it, you can see the difference in the speed of these cars. It's coming. There we go. Woohoo! See, going straight's harder, but let's see. Then we have, as we get further along, so a lot of students, some students have had programming, some have not at all. So this is a great course because we sample programming. So these students had to use Vex to build a robotic arm and Robot C to program it to make it move. Yay. Let's see. Okay, okay, so within the curriculum, there's a lot of stuff that they give you as suggestions to do. One is an elevator. So, hang on. Here we go. And so as you can see, the elevator travels to all the floors. After 10 seconds, if it's not in use, it's programmed to be able to go back to the bottom floor. This is a material sorter. This is kind of the POE, the end of the curriculum. This is to, the idea behind this is if there was a recycle bin and there was plastics and aluminum and different products in there, could you distinguish between them? And so we do a material sorter, which we're using marbles to be the different materials. And so the marbles come in, there's a servo that opens and shuts the gates, and then it also rotates and it can distinguish between white and blue. And so blue, oh, no, blue. See, this is very cool stuff. Kids really get into this. And then to make it fun, so we do, not that this all wasn't fun, but to make it more competitive and competition. So at the end, when we were all making projectiles, we did a competition at the end, and it's kind of long, so I'll go towards the end. So they had to get the most cups knocked off. Let's get down here to the wire. It's intense. One left. So I try not to make the other classes mad by me, but I'll try. All right. Again, we have a donut machine. This is just students want to incorporate food somehow. So it's just
Donuts.
Yeah, anytime. And he got it. It only took 6 tries, but we got it. This is really cool because students that do come with a programming background, but maybe not so much a mechanical background, this student really wanted to make a calculator. And I told them, we don't have an LED. There's no output, things or machines or VEX. But what he did is he uses a flashlight. And there's no sound, so I'll have to improvise. But on the left, or on this side's the numbers. So, and on this side's like plus, add, subtract. And the flashlight will flash the answer. This is where he's explaining it. So for example, 1 + 1 is 2. See, it flashed 2. And I don't remember what the next number was, but it works. Maybe 2 times 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, all right, last, this is a hermit crab. So on all of these last projects, students came up with themselves. That's what's really great about the curriculum is they can, if they don't want to do the elevator, they can do something else. So notice that it has a sensor, so anything that's thrown in front of it will move, and then when it gets to the darker part of the room, the headlights turn on, similar to what a car would actually in fact do.
Cool.
And then there's the math stuff. All right. CA. Oh, no. Oh, and then we have a delight for you. Miss Veronica is going to come and tell her about our experiences in IED and POE.
Good evening. My name's Veronica Lee, and I'm a senior at Downers Grove North, and I love puzzles. I love thinking through problems and coming up with solutions. When I was little, I would get in trouble for taking toys and pens apart to see how they worked. My mom would say she's always tinkering and asking questions. And the fields of maths and science have always interested me, and I want to be a part of the advancements in these areas. I want to use what I love about science and technology to help people by not only making life easier, but connecting to people in ways we never could before. I started my freshman year of high school, like many do, sitting in CAD class. And some find it simplistic and boring, but I was always amazed at how something could be so regimented, yet creative. I've continued to take many of the other courses offered at my school through the PLTW program. I've loved every minute of them. Over the past 4 years, I've taken many engineering courses given at North. I've taken IED and POE and learned many things that have helped me choose my future path and assisted in my foundational knowledge of engineering. My favorite class would be IED because it's mostly design-oriented and teaches you the basics of communicating and developing a product. This class teaches you the design process and revolves around sketching and modeling. My favorite project was redesigning a vehicle from a model that was already given to you. This entailed working with a group, modeling in 3D, and presenting our idea. I also love the timed engineering challenges that Mr. C talked about, and researching about different engineering fields, and practicing hand drawings in 3D. This year I was enrolled in POE. In this class, my favorite assignment was the hydrogen fuel cell boat. For these, we designed the hull and propeller of the boat and 3D printed the propeller. This course is very different from IED because of the hands-on applications of math and science learned in other department courses. POE teaches more of the problem-solving side of engineering by giving us a problem and letting the students choose their unique and individual way to answer it, and then bringing the idea to life. Taking the PLTW courses and others over my career at North has taught me many things. Some things about the work and others about myself. I've learned that I'm a natural leader and I like to take charge and produce great work. I've also learned that I can also be a great collaborator and team member. These will assist me in my post-secondary educational time as well as in my career. PLTW has given me the technical skills I need to be a successful engineer. I'm well versed in a number of different programs and techniques that can successfully be used to create anything I can imagine. 2 Afro-academic cultural, technological, and scientific Olympic medals, 3 years of Skills USA, with the most recent being gold. Various connections with Argonne, and many other things have come from the knowledge and experience I've gained from these courses. Next year, I'll be attending the University of Illinois for mechanical engineering, and this is thanks to the curriculum and staff at North High. Thank you.
I think I was set up for failure there. My name is Mark Molinari, and I am in the engineering and design as well at South. I've taught previously principles of engineering and then civil engineering and architecture right now. To be quite honest with you, I was not one of the ones really pushing forward in Project Lead the Way when it came about 6 or 7 years ago when we were having those discussions, because I'm very passionate about teaching architecture, and this was going to be a course that could potentially replace some of the things that we're doing if we were going to adopt this curriculum. We're about 3/4 of the way through it now this year, speaking about civil engineering and architecture specifically, and I was very supportive of I was very appreciative of our administration that we were able to put a plan forward that would allow us to continue to teach architecture the way we have at Downers South and Downers North, and also adopt the civil engineering and architecture. And so a few minutes, I think Ethan can kind of speak. He's taking both at the same time, and he's taken actually all Project Lead the Way courses, and he'll kind of speak to the differences in the curriculum and how it's benefited him. But just to give you an overview of our civil engineering and architecture for Project Lead the Way, it's really broken into 4 units. And the first unit being a very quick unit on, basically what civil engineering is and architecture, and we go through and do some model making, as you can see there, and really kind of gets the kids, just a foundation of where we're going. None of them are going to be great model makers or designers, but it's something that it's a skill they're going to use. We have to be very open. What we have found in this class, because there's a very strong engineering component and also a design component in architecture, students will be very successful in one area and then struggle in another, and then some other kids are going to be very strong maybe in the mechanical or the engineering side and struggle on the other end of it. And so that, knowing your audience like that, you kind of have to modify with kids and work with them, and sometimes they need an attaboy when it's not an area of strength, and then they later on down the line they're doing really great. So I think that probably has been the biggest hurdle that we've had to overcome, but all of them can be very successful. Obviously, these are kids that are very bright if they're looking into both of those fields. Our second unit just kind of gets them immersed into the curriculum of architecture with a Habitat for Humanity design, a very basic, very structured residential design, can only be around 900 to 1,200 square feet. Doesn't really allow them a lot of area to be too grandiose and make it too large where they couldn't handle it, but it also gives them the opportunity to use a software called Revit. And Revit is an architectural software that many architects are using across the nation or across the world. It's very in-depth, and these students have had really no foundation in it at all. So it allows us to kind of teach a software and a little bit of architecture at the same time. Those are just a couple sample drawings that we do really in the second quarter of the year. And it's a challenge for them because they're learning architecture and a pretty complex software at the same time. We get into our third unit, and hopefully their skills in Revit are a little bit better. Now we're going to get a little bit more into the engineering and to the architecture. And they're given a building that was an old factory in Noblesville, Indiana, and they're charged with turning it into a library. And there's a few requirements that they have to complete. They have to have a Noblesville room that can talk about the history of their town, so they have to incorporate some different media. We go through a lot of different requirements, and then we spend a lot of time looking at the building codes, what's going to be required. And that was a real challenge for all of us. I'm not a licensed architect like Mr. Davenport, and those can be, you need to be licensed to interpret some of those things. And so it was a real challenge for us, but I think, again, you saw some students that they really gravitated toward it, and some other students were like, oh, this is definitely not for me, and would rather be doing some beam analysis or something like that. And so I have 3 elevations that these are from 3 different designs that I grabbed from students that they completed. Some of them are a little bit pie in the sky, but we're high school students, and we're trying to get them to really think about, the design and incorporate some different things, and we loosen up the parameters. And a couple of those were done from my architecture students that I've had in the past, and then one of those is from a student this year that was his first time taking any type of architecture class as well. So I was pretty proud of some of those designs. And then we'll see here a couple of their finished products that they came up with. This was their final 3D model. They had had to incorporate a green roof, and you can see a couple of the renderings that some North and I think combined students from South have completed. So pretty proud of it. The fourth unit is a commercial design unit, and what I have found from many Project Lead the Way teachers that very, very few, there's so much curriculum, it's very hard to almost get to that fourth one if you kind of hit all of Unit 3. And so I think Project Lead the Way is still working with this course of how we're going to cut down or add to certain things, but hopefully we're going to have in the very end an opportunity where they might just get a conceptual design and not be able to get all of it, but at that point they're going to be pretty well versed in some of the requirements that they'll have to do. So I'll turn it over to Ethan and he can kind of talk about his experiences.
Hello, my name is Ethan Witt. I'm a senior at Downers Grove South, and as Mr. Moe said, I'm taking both CEA and architecture at Downers South. And he could be the first to tell you I'm not the most artistic person in the planet. I'm actually pretty boring like that. But I like to be creative, and that's what CEA really offers me in all the Project Lead the Way classes. It gives me an opportunity to be more creative in something that I enjoy. I'm very math and science oriented, and with these Project Lead the Way classes, I'm able to make robots, make a library in a way that fits me best personally. I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I entered high school, and then taking IED and PUE, it really got me started down this engineering path. When I came here to CEA, I did not know what I wanted to do engineering-wise, and then getting to see all this civil engineering stuff, I kind of realized that civil engineering is not really for me. But I still enjoy the class a lot. It's still a nice class. I love it. I'm not going to be a civil engineer, actually, but I'd much rather be a mechanical engineer. But again, I had a ton of fun. It's a really good curriculum in order to help us get a fundamental understanding of how the world around us works, especially in civil engineering and architecture. We've talked about safety regulations, wastewater management, and all that, all the things that make our lives so easy right now. We learned how it works. And I'm so excited to take all this Project Lead the Way curriculum that I've learned over the years to take it to Iowa State with me. And even though I'm not going to be a civil engineer, all this will be, I'm sorry, Mr. Mo, I'm really glad to take all this curriculum, and I really think it'll help me in my future endeavors as an engineer.
So I think with that, we're very excited to continue to bring on the fourth class next year. It does take a tremendous amount of sacrifice from each teacher. We have to sit through 2 weeks of training and do all of the same project that the kids do during the summer. And it's a challenge. Not only are you in training for 8 hours a day, and there's 2 or 3 hours of homework at night, and a lot of whining and crying because of how much you have to do. But it forces you to go back and really study and work with other team members and teachers from across the country. But it's a sacrifice from your family as well. But I think once you get into the school year and you see some of the kids that really, it's a positive thing that Ethan's not going to go to school and be a civil engineer. I think that's a great thing. But he is going into engineering. He failed to let everybody know that. He is going to be an aeronautical engineer. But I think there's some kids that really have benefited from the decision to bring this on board. And I think going forward, we'll only get better and better with some of the things that we're doing. So appreciate your guys' support.
Slide. Love this one.
And we got one autonomous robot for you guys.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, that was nice. Thank you. That's cool.
Any questions or?
I'd like to say thank you. I know my son has benefited from this program. He's in the second year. He's looking forward to taking POE next year for his third year. I want to thank you guys for that summer training. I know it's not easy. And Gene, I want to thank you too for getting the extra classes. And so now there's a full 4-year sequence, which we didn't have a couple years ago. And I'm very happy that from both departments. So I want to thank thank Mr. C, and I want to thank you. You bought my guy breakfast last year at Skills in Peoria. So thank you for breakfast.
No problem. No problem.
Thanks for keeping the,
Well, is it Ethan?
Yes.
Ethan. So I'm thinking, I mean, how much money you've possibly saved his parents, because what if he had known what he really, he knows now that he doesn't want to be a civil engineer. I mean, what if he had gone off to college and so this is really giving students a leg up, I think, in helping figure out their own direction. I'm doing a college search right now with my daughter, and I was so excited because I went on the Milwaukee School of Engineering website and I saw the scholarship there, for Project Lead the Way, and I thought, at first I thought, wow, I know what that is, and secondly, I thought, wow, we have students in Downers Grove that are eligible for that, so how wonderful that we're doing this. And then I brought this up before, but at the middle school level, there's a couple of teachers, I'm not sure who at Herrick, but at O'Neill, Dr. Van Dyke is working hard to promote robotics, and there's a fluid challenge that they do. One of them's through the 4-H extension program, but she's taken groups of students to these competitions and tried to really get them excited about engineering, robotics, science, and so I know she would appreciate a little support from the high schools. Maybe some of the students who are in Project Lead the Way right now might be interested in helping out, coaching, that sort of thing. And it would be a way to get some of our 8th grade students, and maybe they have something at Jefferson too in Lakeview. It would be really wonderful if we could get more students. And I was really happy to see a young woman here this evening, because I'm guessing that the program is a little swayed one way versus the other.
We're working on it.
Right.
With our summer camps, we have gotten a few more ladies into our class.
I forgot to mention that the last couple of years with the summer camps. Thank you for doing that also.
No problem.
I have the daughter who I'm helping right now look for colleges. I mean, she's just now discovering that she might be interested in engineering. And I thought, well, yeah, wow. Partly on me, right? I'm an architect, so. But another daughter you have in your drafting class this year, and I'd like to do more to get the young women involved, because there's huge opportunities out there for women that are interested in STEM. So anyhow, thank you for all your hard work at North and at South, and congratulations to both the students.
Yeah, and if we get to the point where we're out doing building projects, I think our civil engineering and design classes, there'd be a natural spot there for them to help out with the architects we actually hire, to come in and promote some ideas and look at it from a student's perspective in how our facilities should be designed and work. Sorry to cut you off, Don.
I think it's a great idea.
it is. Very good, Hank.
Are all of your students this bright and well-spoken?
We work too. We have to work at it a little bit.
I'm very impressed by both of you. I mean, the way you came up and presented tonight and spoke eloquently about your experiences was very impressive. And I can see that both of you are going to be very successful in your futures. So it's very, very nice to hear. It's just an awesome program. So I think you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just curious, have U of I in Iowa?
Iowa State.
Iowa State, have they accepted the credits?
I got some money from Iowa State for Project Lead the Way. I haven't gone to register for classes yet.
Okay.
But I'll talk to my counselor about that.
They haven't really accepted any PLTW credit, but I think just seeing that on my application, on my resume, it's just really good to see that I already have that foundational knowledge.
Well, anybody else? Thank you all for
Thanks.
representing us today. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
And we need to put the little robot on the. Janice.
Oh.
Take a picture for me. Let's start recommendation.
I just want to give the board an update that our survey went out late last week to families on moving late starts from Wednesdays to Mondays. We're in the process of collecting feedback. That survey's open through Friday, and then we'll take a look at it next week. And then if no surprises come out, then we'll probably proceed in the direction we're going. But I'll know more on the 15th.
Okay. Great. And then the Parent-Teacher Advisory Committee meeting?
I'll turn this over to Scott.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of the Board of Education and Dr. Thiele, we'd like to invite our parents to a Parent-Teacher Advisory Committee. This is an annual meeting that we're holding on Wednesday, May 10th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Downer South High School in the library. The focus of our committee is looking at various aspects of our discipline policies, procedures, and practice, and we're going to focus in on discipline data for the Senate Bill 100 and look at our discipline data in terms of our Positively North and Mustang Way that helps create programming for our students. And then we're also going to hear from our school resource officer who's going to share how they partner with the community, the district, and the school to support our students. So again, that's on Wednesday, May 10th, 6 p.m. start time at Downer South in the library.
Great. Very good. Okay, it's time for our second reception of visitors. This is an opportunity for audience members to address the board on any topic pertaining to Community High School District 99. Does anybody wish to address the board? Hearing none, we need a motion for adjournment. Would you like to move?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Yes. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.